I spent hours learning about blockchain technology so you don't have to. The topic of the day is privacy. I want to dispel a major myth about blockchain technologies and most of the blockchain networks that people know and think about. The first stories many of us heard about crypto may have involved basically crime, talking about people making payments on the dark web. You may have heard about people using Bitcoin to buy fake IDs or something like that. These stories created a shockingly persistent misconception about blockchain technologies. Of course, additional stories about crypto-related scams and the collapse of FTX didn't help. People got this sense that crypto blockchain technologies were sort of shrouded in mystery, not transparent, and good for crime. But in the late 2010s and early 2020s, at the very least, the US FBI and Department of Justice figured out that this isn't right. In fact, most blockchain networks are built to be nothing other than a public ledger. Ledger is a fancy way of saying something that tracks all the transactions that are happening. The public part is pretty straightforward. It's that anyone can go see what transactions happened. This is the case, for example, with the Solana network. While it can take some expertise, some research skill, tracking these transactions is 100% possible by anyone without any permission from, for example, a bank. You can just go see the transactions happening on the Solana network. So by the early 2020s, we had a bunch of examples of the US government successfully going after people committing crimes using blockchain technologies. At a very simple level, they honestly just went and looked where all the transactions led. In my view, at the root of all this confusion is the difference between something that is pseudonymous and something that is anonymous. The best comparison I've heard to explain this is talking about people's main Instagram accounts and their Finstas or fake or secret Instagram accounts. Those handles, the usernames, are pseudonyms in and of themselves. But a lot of people want to have a main Instagram account that has their actual name as their handle. Separately, they'll make an Instagram account that has a totally unrelated handle that hopefully people won't find. Now, there's a second layer to this with Instagram. You can obviously have your account as public or private. This is where there's a big difference between Instagram and the Solana blockchain network. Solana doesn't have a private button. By default, the only privacy you really have comes from the pseudonym or this username concept. That username or pseudonym is just your wallet address. By default, it kind of operates like a Finsta. The wallet address is kind of this gibberish series of characters. It doesn't say your name front and center. But imagine you have a public Finsta. The only protection from your friends or family seeing what you're doing on that Finsta is making sure they don't know your username. But if they find that username, they can see everything that you're doing. This is essentially how a Solana wallet address works. If someone can attach that wallet address to you, they know all the transactions you're doing from that wallet address. There are some obvious breaks to this analogy. Imagine with the Finsta, you're publishing photos of yourself. With the Solana wallet, you're probably not doing this. So the ways to affiliate these two are less obvious. But fundamentally, it's a system that provides you pseudonymity, not anonymity. I think the purest form of anonymity would be something more like a Finsta account with a private setting on Instagram. This is part of why the US government has been so successful at tracing financial crimes using blockchain networks. All they've had to do is make the connection between the pseudonym, that wallet address, and the actual entity or person. It's not necessarily an easy task, but in many ways it's doable. That's when this massive misconception about the blockchain world comes into play. Typical blockchain networks are wildly and completely transparent. This exists in stark contrast to the banking system. You obviously can't really track the things that are happening in any way. I hope this video has been helpful in understanding this distinction between pseudonymity and anonymity. I hope it's also made clear where typical blockchain networks stand. I've been talking a lot of late about privacy-focused networks like the Zcash network. There are also efforts to build privacy-focused features into existing blockchain networks like the Solana network. In addition to covering many of these updates that come up day to day, I'm also going to continue talking about privacy in the blockchain world. So watch out for more soon.